Hello everybody and welcome to the Great Guild Wars 2 countdown. There are only 2 or 1 days remaining till the launch of Guild Wars 2. The parenthesis now, I'm quite cunning, is now for people who have pre-ordered, by the way. So that's how that's working. If you pre-ordered, you've got 1 day left. If you haven't, if it's just been under your radar, you've got 2 days remaining. The footage in the background comes from me. Yeah, this is actually me. This loading screen here, this is, I'm playing the game. So, for today, we are still going to do news, we are still going to do Q&A, but I also thought I'd do a little bit of a section talking about my first experiences with Guild Wars 2 now that it is launched for us pre-purchase people, just to kind of whet the appetite, I suppose, of, hey, people that are in-game as well already, and those of you who are still just waiting 1 more day if you've pre-ordered, or 2 if Guild Wars 2's just been totally under your radar. So, we'll wait till this loading screen ends, and then we'll talk about news. Okay, there we go, much better. So I'm just going to be running around. Basically, for news, just before the game launched the other day, ArenaNet put out a new video of the game. It wasn't anything absolutely amazing, I've got to be honest, but they did put out a new video. It was essentially to advertise the Digital Deluxe items, one last grab, I suppose, of people that hadn't actually bought Digital Deluxe, but obviously do now have the option to for 2,000 gems in the gem store. In case you're wondering, that compares to 800 gems for character slots. I actually did still get a comment from someone saying, oh, these things aren't exclusive, this is going to be so annoying, oh, they told us that we do blah 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 blah. But still, with 2,000 gems, even all of the comments about how they never really said it was going to be exclusive in the first place aside, 2,000 gems, I still don't think many people will buy it. But it did show off the Misfire Wolf, in fact, and it did show off the miniature Ritlock. The most interesting thing about the video, really, is it shows some interesting locales. One of them was the Dermot Priory, which you could vaguely see in the background, and the other one was an image of ore. I'm not sure how people might feel about that, because that kind of spoils what ore looks like in a very small way, and that's something I think a lot of us were excited to see and find out for ourselves. But that is what they put out. It was a video that they did. Hello, Mr. Lazy Worker. I wish I could. This worker I always came up to, and I was like, oh, for God's sake, I really want to be able to get you to work like you can with everyone else that's pissing about in various places in the game, but you can't. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for news. I also, a while ago, they mentioned you could get a hat in Guild Wars 2, actually through the gem store, which you can buy and get for yourself, and that will only be available till 20th of September, something like that. That will be one of those things basically you wear to say, hey, look at me, I was here when the game launched. So be sure to pick that up. Also, that is completely free. It doesn't cost any gems to get, so don't worry about that. No news on the eye or anything like that, but I will tell you as soon as something happens with it. I mean, I'm expecting now it to happen on real launch. Something's going to happen with that live action thing, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, I wanted to really talk a little bit about my experiences of the game. So it launched, as you may all be aware, it was a little bit rough ride when it very first launched. I tried my damnedest to get a whole load of different character names. Didn't really get any. I managed to reserve one for a friend though, but I didn't manage to get any I wanted. They were just gone immediately. Naturally, I tried the human gods, but they were just they were gone, so that's a shame. But hey, we managed to get in. There were a few problems with people getting stuck in tutorial areas. Overall, I think it was very smooth. The game itself has been playable, very much playable, but there were some problems with things like parting with people. Even, in fact, until just before I was finishing playing, there were still problems like that with people being able to play. Oh, stupid scale took too long. So there were problems with grouping up, and shards have been a little bit weird here and there. The auction house and the gem store have very much been pretty much offline. Various things like that have been a bit hiccupy, but the game has been playable, which I think I've seen a lot of people commenting saying, oh, this has been such a bad launch. Actually, for most MMOs, I think it's been a pretty reasonable launch, so I've been really happy with it. It's been mostly playable. There was that big section after, I don't know, 6 hours where the servers went totally down and died. There was a very funny video that was posted by someone. I think that happens with pretty much every MMO launch, but it was like of these puppets that were the ArenaNet server employees. And they were pissing about with the computer, which was all very funny and good. But yeah, so that all happened. The servers did come up, and I just played pretty much solidly through it. I'm not the kind of player that's been rushing or anything like that. I know a lot of people are rushing to level 80, doing all that. I'm really just trying to savour it for my main and experience it at my own pace. I am the kind of player that will get very much into Guild Wars 2 and kind of go all out hardcore. I hate the term, but I will probably end up being like that. But I take my time as I go through it. So on that first time, if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner here, I played for 16 hours 40 minutes. That was all from my first play session, and I didn't stop to film or anything like that. It was obviously longer than that. I was up because I was up the day before, and then we had the three hours like where it was down, so I was pretty knackered. I've just kind of come back from about 12 hours of sleep, which is a lot for me, and now I'm coming in and starting to film for you guys. In that time, as I say, taking my time. I played a lot with my friends. We did all kinds of cool stuff. I took loads of screenshots because I always regretted never taking much screenshots when I first got into Guild Wars 1, and I don't really have those. But yeah, so basically, one of the first things we did was we just got 100% in Divinity's Reach, and we got 100% in Queensdale as well. We kind of I took them into my personal story. I also went out with Mike. An awful lot of it was Mike. Pretty much everyone kind of gave in and went to bed. It was only me and Mike left for a long time, and then even Mike left, and I was up for about an hour or two after that. And I kind of came here and just started running around with him a bit here. Haven't really done much for Wayfarer Foothills or Holbrack, but really on the face of it, it doesn't look like we've done that much, but it's been an awful lot of fun, and we've experienced a lot of different stuff. Got a really good idea of different personal story things and what's going on in their different branches and stuff now, because the wiki as well has been down for an awful lot of the time. But I did get my dailies for last night as well, which is quite cool. And my achievement points, I suppose, is some measure of progress in some way. I'm almost on 200. I've seen a lot of people, actually, you can press Y, obviously, and look at people that have followed you in-game that you haven't followed back, kind of thing. And I can actually get a reasonably good sample of what other people have got. So this guy here is on 194. I've seen a few people breaking 200. Obviously, as time goes on, this guy's doing pretty well. As time goes on, they'll get higher and higher and higher. But yeah, 234 here. I think he's the highest, so congratulations to you, sir. But yeah, that's kind of my progress with the game. I've enjoyed it a hell of a lot. The Let's Play will be coming. I wanted to have it out on the first day, really, but I'll probably film that today, and we'll be going from there. But yeah, it's just been really fun, and I'd like to know, really, how you guys have been experiencing. What have you been doing for your first day? Have you bothered with 100% completion? I've spent a lot of time complaining that it's not really the most fun way to go about the game, but somehow, even though I've been trying to take my time, I've ended up doing just that. What the hell? Really? Did you just go all the way over there? I've just ended up doing just that, and I haven't felt rushed, and I've actually been enjoying it very much, so I mean, I don't know what to say to that. It's just been a really good experience. So I'm just going to run around fighting stuff now. We'll go to the questions and answers, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So enjoy. This is just me pissing about in Queensdale. I don't even know what I want to do, really, but yeah. I should probably clarify, actually, that I am still, once again, in case you missed it in the previous, I am still using community footage. It's just for today. I really wanted to let you guys see my character a bit. So as you can see, it's a Mesmer. I think I dinged to level 18 in this footage as we go forward now. So that's quite cool. And yeah, that's pretty much my main. It's a continuation of my main in Guild Wars 1, who was also a human male Mesmer. That's the only reason I picked the Mesmer, really. I didn't really like that much the direction that ArenaNet went with the Mesmer in Guild Wars 2. I was hoping, though, because I saw their balance, at least for the previous stress test in PvP, was pretty out the wazoo. So I thought, hey, maybe they are quite good if they get a bit stronger. I hadn't heard amazing things about them from previous Mesmer fans anyway, but I thought I'd try it, I'd give it a shot, I'd kind of re-continue my main. And honestly, it's kind of cool, but it feels very, very glass cannon-y, considering that it still doesn't really do that much damage, and the skills themselves are quite quirky and interesting, but often not that useful for PvE, at least. Like, there's some kind of interesting stuff, but I don't know, I'm not feeling it as much, at least, as I was the Elementalist. I've got to say, I miss the Elementalist. I loved the Elementalist from the betas and stress tests. I kind of can't wait to make a new Elementalist for myself, because I just love them so much. The whole achievement swapping thing and having a matrix of skills is brilliant. But anyway, that's kind of what's going on with my character there. Anyway, the first question comes from Civ, who says, in Nightfall it was established that those touched by Abaddon get sent to the Realm of Torment. Indeed, we see numerous NPCs in there, like the Sunspears, Dunkoro's son, that's a bit of a spoiler, various worshippers of Abaddon, and even a Char. But we never see a couple of big names from the Nightfall campaign, Varish Ossa, General Kayat, or General Bale, unless I've yet to do a side quest explaining what happened to their souls. Since all of Alona has now been taken by Palawa Joko and the gods have left Tyria to sort out its own problems, I find it odd that Cormia would let Alona fall, especially since before her ascension she did blame herself for indirectly causing the events that led to Nightfall, which in turn led to the release of Palawa Joko. Now that the Realm of Torment has been redeemed by Cormia, what do you think might have happened to those trapped souls? Do you think Cormia will do nothing while her people get slaughtered by Joko's undead army? I'm thinking no, and I think it would be fantastic if Cormia somehow redeemed Varish and her generals, and while unable or not allowed to directly interfere with the affairs of men, send them back to Tyria to help the heroes reclaim Alona. Sadly, since Guild Wars 2 is launching with a focus on Zaitan and his undead horde, I think it will be quite some time before ArenaNet want to revisit the undead theme and put their full attention on Alona. But that doesn't mean we can't speculate. What are your thoughts on Alona and Cormia's lack of involvement with Joko's conquest? what I quite like about it, it's very logical to say, right, well, Cormier lived, she grew up, she loved Istan, she loved Ilona, that's where she's from. Why is it when she became a god, when she was given the power to do something when things went wrong there, she seems to have left it and abandoned it completely? And I quite like this because it highlights just how much it changes someone to go from being a mortal to being a god. Really, you can kind of, I think, look at Cormier once she jumped into that ball of energy and became Cormier, the goddess of truth and water, or water for a time. When she became that, she kind of died. The Cormier we knew, the mortal Cormier, was gone. And I say she died not just because kind of she shed her mortal physical form and now has this godly form that, though yes, it kind of takes after her physical form in life, it's kind of something completely different now, it's glowing and that. Not just that, but she's been changed very much in mind too. It seemed a lot happened in that instance. Well, a lot of people don't kind of realise, or a very cool subtlety that occurs in that cutscene, is you see Cormier run into the ball of energy, right? But then, and then you see Cormier walk back out and she's kind of glowing. But you're not seeing Cormier in life walk back out, and you're not seeing Cormier as a god walk back out of that. You're actually seeing the avatar of Cormier. A lot happens in that second. Cormier goes in, becomes a god, and she doesn't walk out, but she is already made, or the other gods on her behalf, have already made a conscious decision to, instead of sending Cormier the god out, which would blind the mortals, to instead send her avatar out, and Cormier the god is already somewhere else and doing possibly something else. It's just her avatar that's come out and it's explained what's happened. She's changed a lot in mind. She's gained a lot of knowledge. Presumably all of the secrets Abaddon once held, if things like Arachnia, the fallen god, do still exist or are real and are canon, it's stuff like that Cormier now knows about. And all this new knowledge that's in her head has changed her opinions on things, at least, or whether you can even say the gods really have opinions like that. And now she has decided that she, like the other gods, needs to distance herself from Tyria. There is this question, why? But this isn't so much about Cormier, is it? Why have the gods left as they have once Abaddon was sorted out, and now that the Elder Dragons are about, why aren't the gods coming and helping? That's a big question, but that's not so much about Cormier. But what I think is really cool is this highlights how Cormier, a god, is not the Cormier we knew in life. It's a different being. It's a god now, and we can't reason with it. That conventional logic that we all understand that would dictate she'd come to help Ilona in its time of need now doesn't work, because that's not Cormier in life. That's a god that just kind of was born from Cormier as a mortal vessel, which is kind of interesting. The other question that you kind of touch on here to do with the souls of people that have gone to the realm of torment, I believe, and it doesn't always tie out sadly, but I believe the idea is the souls that are down, and I believe, isn't Dunkoro that says it, or maybe Cormier says it herself when you're in the realm of torment, the souls that are trapped in the realm of torment in general, if you're trapped there, it's because you were touched by Abaddon in some way in life. You weren't necessarily killed because of him, but he somehow touched you in life. So there, yes, it would very much make sense that General Kayet, at the very least, would be in the realm of torment. I would very much assume that, but perhaps the other gods, Grenth in particular, obviously, who kind of sifts through all of the new dead, maybe was intervening here and deciding, right, hold on, we're not going to send Kayet, we're not going to send the soul of this person that worships Abaddon to Abaddon's realm when it's clearly becoming a bit unstable and Abaddon's getting control there. We'll send this person to a different hell, because they never really make the underworld sound to be a really nice place to go to. It's just a place to go to. There's not necessarily all sunshine and rainbows and puppies. They do kind of, early in prophecies, make it seem like going to the underworld's a bit of a punishment as much as anywhere else. But the realm of torment is really where souls are stuck that were influenced by Abaddon. I guess the idea is the gods were trying to hide Abaddon's existence, so everyone who died or had some impact with him, they would kind of just imprison them with Abaddon themselves. So all of this stuff that happened with Or, that was really came down to Abaddon's schemes. That's why we see the Char there. It's kind of his influence spreading through like this, and they want to kind of band everyone together there. But then, of course, I don't think that in the events of Nightfall, Grenth or the envoys or whoever it is that's deciding where these souls are originally going actually want to send any souls there anymore. It's because as you go through in the story, you see this river of souls which actually flows through the realm of torment. Not a very good design sort of choice there, but this soul, the river of all the souls, flows through the realm of torment before reaching the underworld. And as you might recall, during the events of Nightfall, Abaddon and his minions actually dam that river so that the souls get trapped within the realm of torment. So it's kind of interesting that they start pulling the souls out of the river and stuff. One of the first things you see in the realm of pain. So that's kind of what's going on there with the souls. I think it is generally a pretty solid story. It's just that you have to speculate a bit to get to those answers, and it was never explicitly stated. But yeah, I really like this this take on Cormier. Why isn't she helping out? It's because she's a god now, sadly. The other question comes from Daxon1 who says, hey there WP, I haven't played Guild Wars 1 since it came out, and I personally think that's awesome. The thing is with Guild Wars 1 is that the world of Tyria, Alona and Cantha is such huge places. While I was playing the Guild Wars 2 stress test, I feel like the world was extremely smaller than Guild Wars 1 Tyria. I know that the world has changed and maybe all the content is not available. What's your take on the size of Tyria in Guild Wars 2 compared to Guild Wars 1? Guild Wars 1, I'm not going to defend Guild Wars 2 as being a bigger world because I don't think it is, but do bear in mind Guild Wars 1 always felt bigger than it actually was, because a lot of what you see on the map, and it's the same for Guild Wars 2, but a lot that you see on the map you couldn't go to, and you never could go to. And even when Guild Wars Beyond started to come out, ArenaNet did not have the resources to add new explorable areas. They just made it so you could do stuff in explorable areas, and that's the key point, really, that just the size of the world does not equate to how much content that world has to offer. First of all, a very blindingly obvious point you can make is the fact that not all of the content is on the physical world there. You do have world versus world, which again is like a world of its own, and then you have all the mini instances and dungeons and PvP stuff that also layers all over the top of that too. So the physical size of the world isn't indicative of content based on that alone, but also you have this idea of content density, which is how much stuff is there to do for every section of the world you look at. And Guild Wars 1, while at launch, and even through Factions and Nightfall to an extent, and Eye of the North, it may have had a very big world, but it didn't have much to do in it. In fact, at the launch of Prophecies, there was cool to do in it, really. A lot of those quests you see in Prophecies later on were only added after the game came out. For Guild Wars 2, we might have a slightly smaller world, maybe, which I can kind of perhaps get behind, though the world is huge, and I really don't like hearing myself say it because it puts people off, but the world is still huge. But even in this huge world, or maybe this comparatively smaller world, it's got tons more to do. You'll spend way more time on a certain map of Guild Wars 2 than you ever would in Guild Wars 1, because you were just kind of running through. People joke that my LP of Guild Wars 1 is essentially just me running around, and for Prophecies that's what it is. It's because to make progress you're running around. I mean, I was going solo, so there's more running around than fighting, but it's just running from place to place to place. In Guild Wars 2 there's a lot more going on, so I don't think we should really judge Guild Wars 2 based on the size of its world. And looking at all the hints and stuff they've layered throughout all the explorables, I looked at that gate to the Crystal Desert and so forth. They do very much plan on expanding it, and I agree with the decision they made when, instead of, for example, you can look at the Tarnished Coast, right? Each raid has got a starter zone and then a zone just kind of above it, and everyone has their own unique one of those, except the Sylvari and the Asura, who both share the Brisbane Wildlands. Now, the developers obviously made a choice at some point to say, okay, are we going to give the Asura their own too, and the Sylvari their own too, or do we have to kind of make a cut here because we need to actually get the game out, or we don't have the resources to make all of these areas? If we did add this extra one, it wouldn't have enough density of content for it to really be a viable aspect of the game. So they made this decision, and they made one less explorable area. They made the world smaller, but so that everything that was in it was good quality content. And I agree with the decisions they made there when those decisions had to come, which of course they will have had to have come. I think originally ArenaNet probably wanted the Ring of Fire to be in the game, which is why they had this lore of the two swords coming back together to end the foe fire, and they knew that the sword was on the Ring of Fire Island chain, and it seemed like they were setting up, this is why we're going to go there. But they made a decision at some point, right, we're not going to be able to have this in launch, okay, let's change the story again, let's make this bit of a mystery. Ritlock's now got the sword, how did he get it? That's a mystery, but it's their reasoning, and it's how they've made these decisions and made it all work. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about the issue, if it even is an issue, of the size of Tyria in Guild Wars 2. And I guess we're still waiting to see what ArenaNet's plans are and what their time frames and stuff are for new content going into the game after it's come out, but we'll see. I don't actually know what the most progress anyone's made. I'm sure people will be level 80 by now, surely they will, if you've done the right stuff in World vs World with boosts and stuff. But anyway, there you go guys, that's the Great Guild Wars 2 countdown for today. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you tomorrow for really what is the second to last day till proper widespread launch of Guild Wars 2, and I hope you're having fun in game if you are in game, and yeah, I'll see you next time.